Am I in frame? All right, I think we're in here. All right, what is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. We are jumping right into today's video. Sorry, I am in this room. Normally, I'm in the garage for these type of videos, but the neighbors next door, they're getting their landscaping done, so it's way too loud outside. But without further ado, we are jumping in today's video. Yeah, gonna be more casual today, but if you guys are subscribers of the channel, you guys should know that I have sold like a while ago my 2017 Ford Focus RS, and like honestly, that car was probably one of my most like obtainable and like more not realistic, but it was definitely like a more common man, but that was my dream car, I will say. It was the closest thing I think, in my opinion, you can get to a new Evo, especially at the time. I mean, yes, WRX, yeah, but for me personally, I'm just not, it just doesn't do it for me. So the Focus RS was the closest thing to like a brand new Evo. And yeah, I wanted one for a long time. Finally, when I got one, it was like great. I had a manual transmission, 4-door, all-wheel drive, turbo 4 vehicle that had 350 horsepower, you know, crank from factory. After getting it tuned, after doing a couple mods, you know, probably made a little bit more power, but I never really got a dynos or anything like that. So who knows what it made, but it was a fun car. Regardless of anything else, it was a fun car, it was a great car, I loved it. Did so much stuff with that thing, drove it across the country, had a blast with it, man. That thing was wonderful. I honestly loved that vehicle. But yeah, I did wind up selling it after we moved here to like LA. Just at the time, it didn't really make sense for me to have the vehicle, especially because my wife, she had the Velociraptor at the same time. And when we moved out here, I wanted something a little bit different and just something that's going to be better for not just in the city, but I wanted to do more off-roading stuff. So I purchased another Jeep Wrangler, which I love Jeep. So that's, you know, for me, that's like always been my thing. If you've been a subscriber on my channel, love Jeeps as well. But yeah, so sold the Jeep. I mean, what am I saying? Sold the Focus RS to pick up the Jeep. And that was, you know, okay. And it was honestly, I don't regret doing that. I think that was the right decision, especially because of when I traded that Focus RS in, they gave me a great deal on that thing. I got a great trade-in value. I sold that thing for more than what I purchased it for, especially because that was during the pandemic and like car values were just crazy. If I probably would have held on to it a little bit longer, I probably would have got like more out of it, but it's fine. But with that being said, what do I think now? It's been well over a year since I did that, and you know, how do I feel about it still? And I gotta be honest with you, I kind of miss the Focus RS, and it's not to say that I don't love the Jeep. I love the Jeep. I think it's great still, and I'm very happy with it. But looking back, my time with the Focus RS was really cool, and I really do, in ways, miss that vehicle more than probably any other vehicle that I've had. I've had a lot of other vehicles, you know, sold them, traded them in, got rid of them, and got something different. But I think out of everything, the Focus RS was the most, like, not a halo car, but it was such a unique vehicle that I enjoyed so much that I do kind of actually miss it. And it is, you know, let's be honest, it's not the fastest thing in the world, it's not the most rarest thing in the world, and it's not the most expensive thing in the world, or the most refined. It's a rally car that, you know, you can drive on the street. It was not comfortable, especially with that suspension. Stock suspension, it drove very rough. And that was part of the reason why I got rid of it, especially coming out here. It was just like, it was almost unbearable in certain situations. But I enjoyed that vehicle, especially taking it out in the canyons here. Really, the first time I took it out into the canyons out here, I was like, this thing is amazing. I loved it. I thought the vehicle was fun, great, had enough power. I honestly was very happy with the power. I didn't think I needed anything else. I think for what I was using the car for, going out into the canyons and just having fun with it and just like a daily driver, I thought it was plenty powerful. Once again, there's stuff that's way more powerful, way faster and everything like that in a straight line, but that thing to me felt great. So with that being said, do I regret selling the Focus RS? I would say No, I don't. But I think that is one of the vehicles which I think down the line I wouldn't mind picking up another one. I did actually look at some Focus STs, but I'm like, nah. After owning an RS, I know you can. I know honestly, like the STs, those engines, you can actually build those 2 liters to be way more powerful than like the 2.3 liters. Maybe not way, but like people have done the 2 liters more and make way more power. But to me, it's not. It wasn't about the power. It's just the driving characteristics of it, and like the all-wheel drive. Even though, yeah, the Focus RS is still front-wheel drive, like biased, but having that all-wheel drive, having that rarity to it, I thought was unique. And that, you know, for me, an Evo was always like the top tier. Focus RS was the closest thing to it, and I would honestly say, like, out of all the vehicles I've had in the past, the Focus RS is like the one vehicle I think I would buy again, over like the Camaro, over the Challenger. Yeah, I think the Focus RS was like the only one that I think that I would purchase again. But some of the other reasons why I did sell that vehicle, which I don't know if I really talked about it fully. I know I said some of it in like the video when I said I sold the Focus RS. So that I had wasn't the greatest example of a Focus. I bought that thing for cheap. Back when we lived on the East Coast, that thing was cheap. I think I paid like 23 or 4 or 5, somewhere in that range. It was like the low to mid 20s for them. And if you know what they're going for right now, like people are trying to sell them private party for like 40 plus, which is, you know, I guess for a well sorted one, sure. The one that I had it wasn't bad, but it wasn't like the greatest example. It was from the East Coast. It did have like some rust on it, and you know, looking back, I think even when I bought it, it was like one of the cheaper ones that I saw in my area. When I saw it, I was like, okay, cool, this is a good price. You know, went to go look at it. I was like, oh, this is like, there's definitely some rust on it, definitely some which I'm actually like really surprised. It was, you know, for the year, it did have some rust and some corrosion inside of the actual engine bay. I think I looked past that. I mean, overall, the vehicle, like everything else was fine. I just noticed inside the engine bay, like the strut towers and stuff like that, had some corrosion on it, and I'm very surprised. I think, you know, with that in mind, I knew like it wasn't the greatest example. The mileage it wasn't super high, but I think it had like 50 something thousand miles on it, something like that. So it was a well-used vehicle. When I bought it, the dealership said that the guy that traded it in to buy a work truck, and that was his like daily. He special ordered from day one, had it and used it as his daily, but he traded in to get a work truck. So yeah, so I think in my mind I knew like that example of the Focus wasn't the greatest. I think the package was like the RS1. It didn't have the moonroof, which I know a lot of people don't want the moonroof, but me personally, I think it's fine because that vehicle to me would not be a full-on track build. It was like a cool daily, so the moonroof is fine. But yeah, in my mindset, I knew it wasn't the greatest one. It was still a fun vehicle, but it didn't have everything that I fully wanted on it. So I was okay with getting rid of it, and especially because when I traded it in, I made a decent profit on it. If I would have held on to it longer, definitely would have made a little bit more, but it's fine. So I do know, like with that in mind, to me, it wasn't the greatest. Overall though, would I do it again? I think so. I think that example of the Focus was a decent one. Was it the best? No. I think now that we're out here, if I were to ever get one down the line, it would not be my only vehicle. And you know, it was actually funny. I got that because I wanted to consolidate everything down. At the time before I had the Focus, I had the Dodge Challenger, the lifted Grand Cherokee, and also had a Miata. So I wanted to kind of consolidate everything down to one vehicle, just to have one thing that did everything well. This is before we knew we were gonna move out here. I wanted to have an all-wheel drive vehicle for the snow, manual transmission, 4 doors, fun and powerful, and it fit the bill. But you know, looking now, don't think I would ever do that again as my only vehicle. I think that would strictly be a fun vehicle. And hopefully you guys don't hear the neighbor and the landscaping going on next door. But long story short, moral of the story is sometimes you do get, you know, your quote unquote dream. It's not really a dream car. I should probably preface this that it's not really my dream car, but just for the sake of saying sometimes you do get vehicles that you do really enjoy, you do really like, but is this not the right time in your life and things just shift and change? So, you know, you have to be okay with that. Would I buy another one? Yes. Am I happy with my Jeep Wrangler now? Yes, very much so. But I just want to check out this video right here. This is one of my last videos with the Focus RS, taking it out into the canyons, really having a fun blast with it. Check this video out. See you on the other side. See ya.